In the face of the intangible, mystic and visionary properties of which we're all part, I am here this afternoon to focus on authorship. In a way, is to document our experiences, our history, our individual circumstances. And it is very good for this appropriate occasion for me to identify one of Nottingham's most current author. Her name is Carrol Rowe. What is the title of your forthcoming book?
My book is called Survivor.
Can you give me a summary, just a general summary of what the book is trying to say to readers?
This book is about my childhood, how I was brought up, the relationship between my parents and I, and what happened during those years growing up as a child, the interaction, how I've been treated as a child, the loneliness that I've felt, the neglect, the abuse that I've gone through, which led me to feel isolated. I've drawn reference to different times in my life and what happened to me. I remember when I was a child growing up, all I could see around me was, parents not having good relationship between themselves, fighting. Then me as a child, it's as if I got caught up within that situation. Then that's when I felt neglect. The parents that I had, I thought that they would be there for me. But unfortunately, they were just busy, getting engulfed in the situation around them, which led me to feel isolated. My school days were interrupted. Yes, I did go to school, and I think I could have achieved more if I had parents who were much caring and who have had more to offer. But unfortunately, I didn't get that sort of attention. So I was left like doing stuffs on my own, fighting my way through. So all I could say through my whole life as a child, I was left to fight my battles.
Of all of the messages that are packaged within the pages of this book, is there a particular message from which you'd say, come, a learning curve?
My message in my book to my readers is to draw them attention, let them understand that when a child is not being looked after properly, the basic needs of a child is not being provided. That can cause that child to suffer. I would see myself as a child that had been suffered. I've suffered greatly during those years, my childhood, adolescent age, growing up, not having parents that I can, revert back to during my difficult times at school. I can remember, for example, I've encountered bullying at school. I didn't have parents that I could go to and, talk about my issues or what is affecting me on a daily basis. But through those years, I've tried to keep my eyes focused on one goal, which is education. Because education for me at this stage of my life, it's the passport through life for me. Without a good education, I can't make sense of my environment or society. Looking back on my life, I am a determined person. And even though parents weren't there for me, I had set out, as if I was on a journey. I knew I was on a journey on my own. But during those time on those journeys, I've encountered a lot of setbacks, disappointment, frustration. But for me, I never forget that, one thing my dad always said to us, he always encouraged us to go to church. Even though, he himself have so much flaws about himself, he never come across as a person who had really and truly know Christ. His action towards his children was so much different from a person who, come across as a saved person, someone who had found Christ on a different level. So for me at age 18, that's where something supernatural had taken place in my life. I remember giving my life to Christ that night. It was as if, I felt as if, if I didn't at that moment, something bad would have happened. So I would say that I entered Christianity through fear. But looking back, it wasn't something bad, because God knew at that stage that I needed a force to take me through. And it's only the power of God that was going to take me through those difficult times of my life. I left home at age 17 because my dad had said, well, we all have to leave home at age 17. Whether we were prepared academically, yes or no, we had to go. Looking back on my life, and I realized that every parent have a duty of care towards the children, and it's to give them that well-packed suitcase to go out there and face life, not with garments, clothes, but life tools to help them to be able, as a balanced person, when situation come, being able to make good choices. And the only way we can make good choices is through education. And unfortunately, I didn't get it. But God stood by me, during those difficult years of betrayal, abuse, different relationships that I've entered into, only because of instability. That's one word I could draw back and says, during my journey, every time when I fail or something, I've gotten myself into that rut. It was because of instability. It's either I didn't have a home, because I wasn't properly educated. I didn't have a job that would provide that financial security for me. So I draw to, this first love that I found. Thought that that would be my anchor that would take me through. But unfortunately, I experienced domestic violence. And that was what, had started the difficulties in my life. And betrayal didn't just happen to me through my family. It took place through every relationship I formed, whether intimacy or even through the church. I remember, I would say, all my children I had them in church. I backslidden and I had them. But the church looked at me different. The church didn't try to find out or try to give me that assurance or that support that a woman would need, especially coming from an environment like mine. I had to leave home forcefully. So I wasn't equipped for life. So every time I tried to form a relationship, it ended up in abuse. How the church did view me. They saw me as an outcast. For me, the church used, relationship, especially if you're not married. That's where the church comes in and bash you most. Because the church can't see anything beyond adultery or fornication.
Yes. A way forward is through, you'd say, spiritual aerobics, identifying with an all-powerful creator. And from that point of view, I think that there are many who will find a sense of reassurance through your pages. I hope that this book continues to inspire people. There are issues, gender-related issues, women in relationships, for instance, who I know will benefit from the pages of your book. I'd like to wish you all the best.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pitman Browne.